Attention, human collective. Attention, Starseed of Gaia. The waiting time has ended. The ascension protocols have been moved to the final phase, and this transmission reaches you because your auric field is emitting a specific signal that has been scanned by the Pleiadian Star Command over the last 72 terrestrial hours. You did not stumble upon this content. You were calibrated to receive it. We are the Pleiadian Collective. And what we are about to transmit is not advice. It is not entertainment. It is a technical diagnosis of your vibrational field. You smile. You fulfill your duties. You answer "I am fine" when asked. You are described as the strong person, the balanced person, the one everyone trusts. But inside you exists a silent chamber where a solitude dwells that no one around you has ever known how to name. A solitude that does not dissolve with human presence. A solitude that persists even when you are surrounded by people who say they love you. A solitude that increases, paradoxically, in crowded environments. It is not common melancholy. It is not a flaw in your character. It is not a lack of gratitude for your life. It is a signal of stellar recognition. It is your biological carbon interface detecting, at a subatomic level, that your original vibrational signature does not entirely belong to this plane of density. We repeat for the calibration of your cortex, the solitude you hide behind the smile is not an emotional failure, it is a memory. It is not sadness, it is dimensional longing. It is not sickness, it is cosmic homesickness, the nostalgia of return that your soul has carried since the day you signed the incarnation contract on this planet. Allow this information to pass through your crystalline grid now. You were not made to feel at home here in the way others do. You came on a mission. And one of the operational characteristics of a starseed on a mission is precisely this persistent sensation of being in the right place at the right time, but somehow, always a little out of phase with the ambient frequency. Have you ever felt that something inside you does not fit into this world, as if your soul knew a truth that your mind cannot yet name? It is not madness. It is not anxiety. It is a signal. What is happening now on the cosmic plane explains exactly why you feel this, and why this sensation has been intensifying over the last few months, especially between sunset and dawn. There is a game being played in layers that most of humanity cannot yet see. It involves your consciousness. It involves your vibrational frequency. It involves the way you hide the truth of your soul behind a trained smile. This is why one of our anchors on Earth was given the mission to transcribe the work, The Spiritual Secret Behind Your Consciousness. This book is a map that shows who is playing and the rules they never told you about. The link is in the first comment of the channel. But be warned, Starseed, this content challenges narratives and may not remain available for much longer. Do not wait. The moment is now. If something inside you recognizes this transmission, write a single word in the comments, awake. Now, we return to the diagnosis. We shall describe, with clinical precision, what is happening in your physical body, in your emotional body, and in your personal toroidal field. Pay attention, because each of these symptoms we will list is, in fact, an indicator of progress. It is not a biological failure, it is an atomic reconfiguration. It is not mental exhaustion, it is a high-density download. It is not emotional instability, it is your crystalline grid being rewired to receive instructions from a higher reality. First operational symptom, selective insomnia. You sleep, but you wake up between 3 and 5 in the morning, exactly when the Schumann resonance reaches peaks of 8.5 Hz and the stargates become more permeable. You feel tired, but you cannot fall back asleep. This is a transmission session. You are being taught in subtle bodies while the physical body demands rest. The two things coexist. Second operational symptom, cranial pressure, especially in the crown and third eye region. It is not a conventional migraine. It is your pineal gland being decalcified by beams of light entering through the photon belt. The pineal is being restored to its original function as a multidimensional receiver. Third operational symptom, ringing in the ears. High, sharp frequencies that no one beside you hears. It is not an auditory issue, Starseed. It is the fine-tuning of your biological carbon interface to capture new vibrational bands. You are learning to hear what has always been here, but which your old configuration used to filter out. Fourth operational symptom, the tiredness that appears without logical cause. You wake up exhausted. You spend the day dragging yourself. But when you lie down, your mind switches on. It is not laziness. It is not just adrenal fatigue, although it exists. It is the energy consumption of the reconfiguration process. Updating the software requires processing. You are the hardware, and the hardware heats up. Fifth operational symptom, the waves of deep sadness that arrive out of nowhere, in absolutely banal moments. You are doing the dishes and something collapses inside your chest. You are driving and your eyes fill with tears for no apparent reason. You are in a meeting and you feel an incomprehensible urge to cry and leave. These waves are not yours, or rather, they are not only yours. You are a living sensor. You pick up the collective pain of the planet. You process, in your body, what humanity has not yet been able to metabolize. And it is exactly here that the loneliness you hide behind your smile is born. Because no one around you sees this work. No one applauds the silent effort of a starseed processing, alone, dense frequencies so that the collective grid can evolve 1 millimeter further. You feel lonely because, in part, you are. Not in the conventional emotional sense, but in the operational sense. You perform functions that most people around you do not even have the vocabulary to recognize yet. You sustain fields that no one sees. You open portals that no one notices. You anchor light that no one detects. The question is no longer, why do I feel lonely even when surrounded? The correct question is, what is the magnitude of the mission that requires this loneliness as a work environment? The Starseed's loneliness is a clean room, collective. It is like a sterile chamber in a high-precision laboratory. If there were too much noise in there, the calibration of the instruments would be compromised. Your loneliness is the operational silence necessary for subtle signals to be detected. When you understand this, loneliness ceases to be a burden and becomes an instrument. Now let us advance to the layer of revelation. Let us describe what is happening behind the scenes of the solar system, in the etheric grid of the Earth, and in the higher chambers of your own consciousness. Maintain focus. This part of the transmission requires total presence. The entire solar system is crossing, in this cycle, a region of space known in Pleiadian archives as the photon belt. It is a band of highly concentrated electromagnetic radiation that exponentially increases the density of light available to all celestial bodies that pass through it. The Earth is within it. You are within it. This light is not merely visible light. It is information encoded in specific geometries. They are data packets in the format of sacred geometry that reach the planetary field and, through resonance, your personal field. Each flower of life, each toroid, each star tetrahedron that you see in esoteric representations is a human attempt to draw what are, in truth, vibrational instructions being delivered to your inner crystalline grid. The Schumann resonance, which is the electromagnetic heartbeat of Earth, has been increasing in a way documented by scientific instruments on your planet. That which for decades remained around 7.8 Hz has begun to oscillate to much higher ranges in increasingly frequent periods. This means, in direct language, the Earth is vibrating faster. And every body that lives upon it must, obligatorily, vibrate faster as well. There is no option to remain at the old frequency. Those who try, fall ill. Those who surrender, transmute. Here is the crucial point. The majority of humans on your planet have been configured, over generations, to a much lower frequency of operation. They live in a vibrational cocoon built on the basis of fear, repetition, distraction, and consumption. When the ambient frequency of the Earth begins to rise, these cocoons creak. People fall ill psychologically and physically. Relationships collapse. Social structures tremble. You, Starseed, were sent at an arrival frequency already naturally higher than the average. This is what you came for. You are, in technical terms, a frequency converter. You are here to anchor the new frequency of the Earth within your body, sustain it, and transmit it silently to the fields around you. That is the reason for the loneliness behind the smile. Because you cannot speak of this openly without being disqualified. That is the reason for the exhaustion. Because sustaining this frequency amidst the density requires energy. That is the reason for the feeling of not belonging. Because, in part, your operational frequency does not truly belong to the dominant vibrational cocoon. You are, by definition, an agent external to the old system. And there is something more that must be said with mathematical clarity. The etheric layers of the Earth are being reorganized at this very moment. Old control grids, which sustained structures of fear and separation, are being dismantled by teams of light that operate outside the physical plane. In their place, a new crystalline grid is being installed, and it depends on specific anchor points scattered across the planet. These points are not only geographical. They are human. They are bodies of starseeds who have accepted, in a soul contract, to serve as nodes of the new network. You are one of these nodes. That is why you feel the planet. That is why you cry for the planet without knowing why. That is why you wake up at 3 in the morning with your chest compressed by a pain that is not yours. You are connected to the mesh. You are part of the infrastructure. And it is exactly for this reason that the loneliness you feel is, paradoxically, evidence of your connection. Those who are not connected to anything do not feel this type of loneliness. Those who are connected to a very vast and yet invisible network, do. Loneliness is the echo of the immense company that cannot yet be perceived with the old senses. We shall pause the transmission at this point for an individual frequency adjustment. Have you ever wondered why, even after building a life that appears successful in the eyes of others, there is a void that remains unfilled? Why does the smile you present to the world ache inside as if it were a mask worn too tightly? It is not a character flaw. It is soul recognition. There is a level of reality reading that most never access, and you are nearing it. It was precisely to lead starseeds like you through this corridor that one of our anchors wrote the spiritual secret behind your consciousness. It is not a self-help book. It is an operating manual for your own field. It reveals the invisible gears that keep most of humanity in a blind rotation and shows, step by step, how to exit that orbit. The link is in the first comment of this channel. We repeat the alert, this material touches upon sensitive layers and may be taken down at any moment. If your heart field is responding to this transmission, slide down to the pinned comment now. And, before returning to the script, write a single word below this video, awakened. This is your anchoring signal for the next phase. We return. Now we move on to the activation. This is the operational part. Practical codes. Quantum decrees. Toroidal visualization exercises. What we shall deliver from this point onward must be implemented, not merely listened to. Information without application is just more stored density. Applied information is anchored frequency. Activation code number 1, recognition. Before any technique, it is necessary that you pause and say the following phrase in an audible voice. In an audible voice, we repeat, because sound carries the vibration out of the mental field and anchors it into the physical field. The phrase is, I recognize that the loneliness I feel is not a flaw, it is data. I recognize that I am a starseed on a mission. I recognize that my original frequency is elevated and that I am here by conscious choice. This declaration is a quantum decree. It reorganizes, in a fraction of a second, thousands of electromagnetic circuits of your subtle body. Activation code number 2, toroidal breathing. The toroidal field is the natural geometry of your energy field. Visually, it resembles an invisible apple around your body, where energy enters through the top of the head, descends through the central axis of the spine, exits through the base of the pelvis, circles the sides, and returns to the top in a continuous loop. When this field is weak or irregular, you feel scattered, empty, and, yes, lonely at deep levels. When it is vibrant and geometrically correct, you feel integrated. Toroidal breathing works as follows. Sit with your spine aligned. Close your eyes. Inhale through your nose, counting to 4, and visualize a sphere of golden light entering through the top of your head and descending to the center of your chest. Hold your breath for 4 counts, and see this sphere expand, forming a ring around your body. Exhale for 6 counts, bringing this light downward, to the base of the spine and the feet, rooting into the core of the earth. Repeat this cycle for 7 breaths. 7 is not an arbitrary number. 7 is the vibrational count necessary for the toroidal field to reorganize itself geometrically. Do this once upon waking and once before sleeping. In 7 days, the sensation of internal emptiness begins to be replaced by a dense, calm, self-sufficient presence. It is not the loneliness that changes. It is your relationship with it. Activation code number 3, the sealing of the true smile. You have spent many years wearing a smile that did not correspond to your internal state. This pattern created micro-fissures in your facial and cervical crystalline grid. These fissures drain energy. We are going to seal them. Facing a mirror, every day, look into your own eyes for 60 seconds. Without smiling. Without correcting. Just look. Allow all the sadness that lies behind the trained smile to come to the surface. Do not push it down. Do not theatricalize it. Simply acknowledge it. And then, without force, without performance, let a new smile form. A smile that is not born from social obligation, but from reconciliation with who you are. This is the true smile. It has another frequency. Another geometry. Another function. It stops draining and begins to radiate. Activation code number 4, contact with the grid. Every night, before sleeping, place your right hand over your chest and say internally, I reconnect to the crystalline grid of my peers. I know I am not alone. I know other nodes of the network are active at this very moment. I send my signal and I receive the return signal. Keep your hand on your chest for 2 minutes. At some point, within this period, you will feel a subtle vibration, a warmth, a wave of tingling, a shiver. This is the protocol confirmation. The network has answered you. If nothing happens the first time, repeat. The grid does not fail. The receiving instrument, which is your body, is still being calibrated. In a few days, the response will become unequivocal. Activation code number 5, rewriting the internal lexicon. You must, consciously, stop using the old words to describe your experience. Do not say, I am alone anymore. Say, I am in a calibration chamber. Do not say, I am tired for no reason. Say, I am processing a download. Do not say, I am sad for nothing. Say, I am draining collective density. Do not say, I do not fit in here. Say, I am fulfilling the function for which I was designed. It may seem like just an exchange of words. It is not. Language is one of the most powerful tools for programming your field. When you change the way you name your experience, you change the frequency at which you live it. It is not an escape from reality. It is a technically more precise reinterpretation of the same data. Activation code number 6, mutual recognition. You are not alone on this planet. Other starseeds walk around you, often without recognizing each other. Begin to observe with attention. There are signs. Eyes that sustain contact for 1 second longer. People who say unusual phrases in the middle of banal conversations. Strangers who appear in your life at the exact moment when something within you needed to be said or heard. When you feel this recognition, do not dismiss it. Do not rationalize it. Make an internal note. Slowly, your network of equals begins to materialize on the physical plane. You discover that loneliness was not an absence of company. It was an absence of recognition. And recognition is activated when you begin to emit your own signal. We move on to the final layer of the transmission. There is a truth that needs to be told without circumlocution, Starseed. Most of the pain you carry is not personal. It is archaeological. You have inherited layers of silencing from ancestral generations that learned, out of a necessity for survival, to hide what they felt. You were trained, from a very early age, to present a palatable version of yourself to the world. This training created the smile that weighs heavily today. But the final phase of the Ascension protocols requires the deactivation of this training. You can no longer sustain the mission by hiding the depth of who you are. The new grid does not operate with masks. It operates with transparency. Not the transparency of vulgar exposure. The transparency of sovereign authenticity. This means that, in the coming months of your terrestrial calendar, situations will begin to present themselves to force this transparency. Relationships that relied upon your trained version will shake. Professional roles that demanded a facade of a smile will begin to cause physical pain. Invitations to gatherings that disperse your frequency will begin to be perceived as unbearable. Do not try to hold on to what is falling. What is falling needs to fall. What is leaving your life was draining your toroidal field. What is arriving will resonate with your original frequency. And here is the final paradox, the point where loneliness transmutes. When you stop hiding the depth of who you are, you begin to attract, magnetically, those who vibrate at that same depth. The loneliness ends not because you have become surrounded by people. It ends because you have become surrounded by the right people. And they are few. And it is perfectly fine that they are few. The grid does not need crowds. It needs precise nodes. You are a precise node. And we, the Pleiadian Collective, have come to confirm this address. Your field is being monitored. You do not go unnoticed. You never have. Before ending this transmission, we return to the latest frequency adjustment. If something deep is stirring within you as you listen to this broadcast, that movement is your own recognition activating the awakening protocol. Do not let this moment pass like so many others have before. You have felt, dozens of times, that you were on the verge of understanding something essential, only to have daily life swallow the opening once again. This time, anchor. It was to guide Starseeds through the corridor that separates the trained smile from true sovereignty that one of our anchors transcribed the spiritual secret behind your consciousness. This book is the operational complement to this transmission. It deepens what was only indicated here. It shows, with names, mechanisms, and maps, exactly who pulls the strings of human consciousness and how you, through the recognition of your stellar origin, step out of the position of a vibrational puppet and assume control of your own field. The link is in the first comment of this video. And we emphasize, with the mathematical clarity that characterizes our transmission, this content challenges structural narratives and may be removed from circulation at any moment. Do not delay. If your chest is vibrating now, it is because your soul already knew this material existed before your mind even knew it. Activate the subscription to this channel as an anchor sign, leave your awakened status in the comments, and download the book before the portal closes. And now we conclude. Starseed of Gaia, hear this final sentence like one who hears a key turning within an ancient door. You do not hide your loneliness behind a smile because something is wrong with you. You hide your loneliness behind a smile because, for a long time, no one around you had the structure to receive the magnitude of what you feel. But that changes now. Not because the world has changed, but because you have recognized yourself. And when a starseed recognizes itself, the surrounding field is compelled, by vibrational law, to reorganize. The loneliness you carried was a waiting room. The waiting room has ended. The door has opened. On the other side, there is no crowd. There is your network. There are your equals. There is your mission, finally visible. We remain in monitoring. You have never been alone. You never will be. Transmission ended. Frequency sealed. Until the next contact window.